Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Jerry here. Welcome to this video. Today we're talking about the challenge again. We are in day 4 and 5. I guess we're going to talk about what's going to happen and where we are today in day 4 and what you need to do at this point. But also what's going to happen kind of in day 5 and in day 6, okay? So right now I see that very gladly that you guys are really cooperating with this, and probably some of you are seeing some wins right now, like whether or not you feel better, whether or not you feel like that you're doing more, whether or not you feel like at least you're finding a pathway to understanding more about what you need to do. And the trend here, I think you understand that the difference between what you might have done, like at least what I see in the group, even from people that have been here a while, the trend is that you're probably switching, and this is very important. This is probably the most important part in any part of getting results, switching from consuming to doing. Like some of you have been here months, and I did put out several resources, and it's always about seeing people liking stuff or commenting maybe in stuff, but very little time I saw people really doing something, right? Like posting their own thing. You're really taking commitment into doing something. And I understand that if you want to lose weight or keeping the weight off, and this is essentially going to help with your insulin resistance, it's going to help with putting your diabetes in remission, if that's the case. You must understand, and again, this also goes for people that would want to change a different problem. Like I've been coaching in like hundreds and hundreds of people at this point, and even when they wanted just to lose weight and create more health and stopping them from emotional eating, much like I was myself. It's always about gaining a commitment, understanding why the commitment is important for you to wanting to change, and then doing work and assessing what you're doing, testing, seeing what's going on, and then optimizing and doing something better. The misconception in the world, like when it comes to the biggest myth of people not getting results, is this idea that whether it's diabetes, whether it's weight loss, whether it's getting better performance, what is getting better to do a sport, what is to get stronger, whatever the case is. And again, this is a broad conversation because it comes down to, is almost like a broad bottle that at the end it goes down to, like, is a reverse bottle that goes down like the bottleneck. It's really about understanding that it's not this thing of you having a specific PDF, a specific thing, a specific something that you must follow, and then following that thing for a while, and then when it stopped working, then you quit. Like most people think results is like that. I'm gonna follow a diet, I'm gonna do a specific exercise. If it's working for me, great. If it doesn't working for me, it means that it shouldn't work for me, right? No, there is very distinct, or better say, there is very common ways for people to get results. When you want to lose weight, there is a specific pathway that you need to go through. When you want to balance blood sugar, there is a specific pathway that we're going through today and in this week. But you need to understand that it's really about testing and optimizing. It's about first and foremost doing and testing and optimizing, and stop saying things to yourself or such as, this is not going to work, this is not working for me, I am different, I need this, I need the doctor to say this to me, otherwise I'm not going to do anything. You need to stop looking for insurances and saviors, people wanting to kind of like save you, and more do like kind of like saying, okay, what's going to take for me to save myself? Because ultimately that's what it is, whether or not you're being followed from a professional, whether or not you're being followed from a physician. It's really about doing something like it's always your skin, right? It's always your system, your skin, your body. It's like you are going to need things that nobody really can understand what you need, including medicine that nobody can really test before you test on yourself. That's why you're going to groups, and then you see things such as, okay, I tried metformin, and then you get like 10 different answers. Like, how does it work for you? I mean, how that's going to help? How is it going to work for you? Like, how is it work for somebody else? Not going to help you. How is it going to work for you? So with this being said, we reframe the conversation and we say, what I had you do this week, I first and foremost, I made you understand the importance of doing something, learning a little quite a bit, and then doing something like 10 minutes of learning and probably 10 minutes of doing, and then testing. Like these 2 days, we establish a baseline, we establish numbers, how is your initial blood sugar readings, and then we establish the importance of posting, like to post the meal or meals that you have in, because when we learned the fact, and I gave you the explanation why a mixed meal or eating carbohydrates last, or some cases even skipping dinner or minimizing the amount of food that you have in dinner, can improve your blood sugar readings in the morning, right? And so we learned that, and we established that that's what we're gonna do. And now it's about posting, and you should have posted already. And if you're coming in new, you can start from the scratch, and you can still do it. We're only like 5 days in, 4 days in, and it's still useful. Because the group is going to show other people, and then like the other people are going to do it as well. Because the important is really having a huge group doing something together and understanding patterns, right? But now we learn this, and therefore there are some people still questioning about, should that be more towards keto? Should this be more towards low vegan? Maybe not so many protein or not so many carbs. Like it's about, if you thinking that way, you're really falling into the trap of going to 1,000 different groups and then asking so many questions and then being confused. Because when people are confused, they do not take action, right? And for you to be successful, you need to take action. So we established now that you do need to post those meals, and I saw people posting the meals, and it's great because now for one day we did that, and I would be remiss if I'm telling you like in 10 days we're gonna fix insulin resistance, but in 10 days you're gonna see that you can balance your blood sugar when things are done properly. Now the sequence, the next step, and this is where the magic happens, is for you to post the same meals that you have. I mean, it might be the same, might be slightly different. You might change off some vegetable for some protein. You're gonna do that, and then 1.5 hours to 2 hours after, you're gonna test the spike. You're gonna test how this food reacts. So what I want you to do, and I'm pulling up now my other screen, and I'm gonna explain you what I want you to do. Share screen, entire screen, yes. As I do this, we're now inside, let me see, we're now inside the group, and I'm gonna check online if it's really streaming through this. It should. We are, exactly, okay. We have some delay, but this was gonna happen. So I'm first and foremost, congratulations to seriously for Tadeusz here, Lamis, like AJ, everybody really posting. Like this is what you need to understand, that this is different. And if you can just scroll down to different groups, and you can see the pattern. Other people, groups, even you have maybe thousands of people in there for diabetes, you will see a lot of people asking a question, and then there is like 10 different comments and 10 different answers, and a person is like, okay, cool, I'm gonna wait a month to go to see my doctor and see what to do. It's like, I mean, how is that useful? Like, you just spend the last 3 minutes creating a question, getting like 10 different opinions, and then like, I mean, how is this useful to balance your blood sugar? I mean, like, here you understand that to get results, you test, you make maybe a mistake, you post something that is not whatever, like you post something that you're not very proud of, and you say things. I see people here, that pattern is like, I don't feel good how I'm eating, I don't feel good this, but this is like, you expose yourself to being helped. Like, you're a coachable person, I can help you, like I can coach you. When people just are scared of doing something, I cannot coach you, because coaching is about seeing, including myself, being vulnerable, making mistakes, trying something that is not going to work. But again, you get the pattern. So what I want you to do right now, and again, I don't have I've actually made a post of myself, and this is kind of like the post explaining what we need to do in day 4. This is polenta here, though. You could switch off with rice, you could switch off with quinoa, you could switch, like, this is a serving size of carb, 1 or 2 servings, right? This is a serving size, or a little bit more about protein. You can do 1 or 2 protein servings, and here is a vegetable servings. Like, you maybe cooking a little bit. Like, I use oil spray, or like, just don't put a bunch of butter, a bunch of oil. Like, if you put three spoons of oil, it's probably 300 calories. You're making this meal is designed to be around 500-600 calories, with full body full macro split, like balanced macro splits, is like almost like a 30, 33, 32, 33, which is great because it gives you the ability to, one, being on a calorie deficit with not really realizing. If you eat like this for a week straight, you will essentially be eating a healthy diet, and you're not really realizing you're dieting, because now you can take like 2 or 3 meals like that, and then you can have like a snack. One of the 2 of the 3 meal can be something you like, even if it's not quote unquote healthy. For example, you need a consistency, right? So we said we need you to test now. The importance is for you to test that something is working. So you just might take this, for example, and then you post. You can make, there are applications. You can take this picture and then on the same, you make a post, your own post. On the same post, you're gonna go back to this one, for example. I take in Tadeusz here. Tadeusz, you're gonna try this, for example. This is what whether or not is in the morning or whatever, like the first reading you have. When you eat, you're gonna take 1 hour and a half to 2 hours after. You're gonna take the same reading, right? And then what you're gonna do, like all of you, what you guys are gonna do, you're gonna take this, for example, and you're gonna put the same picture. You're going to put the food and the reading. And then you're gonna say, okay, day 4, day 5 post. You're gonna do this for day 4 and day 5. Okay, at least one meal. I want to say one meal. Don't pick your finger like 3 times a day. That's ludicrous. It's not gonna be useful anyway. You can test 1 meal a day, and you can make this post, because this is gonna allow me to ask question again, like I did the other thing. If you have an amazing blood sugar reading, chances are you're gonna have to celebrate a win. You're gonna say, finally, I realize what it takes for me to see some wins. I'm really excited about it. And you should, right? If the food that you're posting, let's say, is a mixed meal, right? It gives you like a worse reading. We're gonna analyze why. Like I'm gonna ask a few questions. You're gonna get back at me on the comments, and we're gonna assess. I'm gonna have you try a few different things, because again, blood sugar readings might change because of what you're doing or eating, but also what your hormonal situation is. Like a lot of stress, a lot of things going on, poor sleep, could be hormonal shifting or whatever the case is. You will need to assess things. So it's very important for you to not attach yourself to this number and say, you see other people, the reading goes down and yours goes up. Don't say, my body's weird. We're gonna figure out why. Okay. So what I need you to do though is I need you to really to cooperate with this, and then what we're gonna do this. Then I'm gonna explain what's gonna happen right now in day 5 and 6. Day 5 and 6, we're gonna talk about movement. We said multiple times that some people wake up with a sugar reading which is out of whack, like it's called the down effect. And you wake up with higher blood sugar readings than late in the afternoon. It's always for me, by the way. If I would see the difference between morning and afternoon, it's much better in the afternoon. Okay, so I'm one of those subjects. And again, it's not about much what you're eating, but it's about the stress level. It's about your sympathetic versus parasympathetic system, which sympathetic is like speed up things, like process in your body, and parasympathetic is like relaxes everything, might be not balanced, and might create an issue. Therefore, you must then do something about it, right? And one of the things that you might do, we said that if this is the issue, you can minimize the food that you're having before to sleep, or like you can make your dinner lighter. Another thing you can do, it's really about before you do your reading in the morning, go for a chill 15 minutes walk, 20 minutes walk. Not for the purpose of like speeding off your body, but very relaxed, brisk walking for 15 minutes. At wake, if you're taking your blood sugar, like if you have a different schedule that you wake up later or earlier, you might do that as before that. You wake up a little bit before and then you do it. But just do that before you take your blood sugar reading, and see what happens, and see if moving is help you. Because I always say it, type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes is a very fixable condition if you understand that you need to work. Okay, type 1 diabetes is a little bit more of a different beast, and unfortunately is harder than the type 2. Type 2 is an environmental disease. It's like you got there, chances are for the environment, for poor choices, and somewhat for genetics, but most of the time for something that you are in control of. And are you in control of going to walk? If you would walk the whole day, you would probably put it on remission much faster. But can we walk the whole day? No, we have schedule, we have work. And therefore, I need you to understand that doing something is better than doing nothing. Okay, so just go ahead and start walking in the morning before you're taking your blood sugar reading tomorrow, as well as posting the post that I had. I will follow up with you again, as I'm probably going to walk as well tomorrow. And then we're going to talk about what to do next. But right now, watch this video and watch it again and learn really what to do. Post the food that you're eating. In the same post, you put your reading after 1 hour and a half to 2 hours, and then you do that. It will not really help what happens in the first 20 minutes. Your food might spike up and then go down, or it might take a little bit to spike, and then it's going to spike after. So like usually what makes sense is like taking, since you already taken one before, you taking you really 1 hour and a half to 2 hours, because usually is when the stabilization of the blood it makes sense within ranges. If you look in an acute term, meaning like if we look at acutely is this. If you look at chronically, when you take your A1C chronically usually after a couple of months, so it makes no sense in the conversation. So if you want to test it, whether something is working or not, you test it this way. Coach Jerry here. I'm going to talk to you soon. I wish you an amazing afternoon or evening or morning, depending where you're watching from, and I'm going to talk to you very shortly.